So here we see the continuation of the Darth Maul story. We also see the death of Jedi. What's her name? I actually don't remember her name right now. I don't care because she dies, but it's okay because she'll be back in future episodes. I, I know. It's just really, really. One of the things I like about this is the amount of sense make it makes. So we see two things that are very logical. First of all, for a Sith to try and obtain power, that's pretty much one of the biggest things that was ground into Maul and into the Sith in general. So it makes sense that they would be like, "Yes, I will soon claim and conquer everything. We are lords, crime lords." Which brings me to my second point. Maul is not known for his planning ability, is he? I mean, he's good in a fight, and he demonstrates that multiple times in this episode, and has demonstrated that multiple times in the past. But he really doesn't know what he's doing as far as leadership skills. This is actually the I guess, the paradox of most Sith across Star Wars. This is actually something that I've praised about certain individuals, who I shall not name here, not because I like it, but because some fictional works within Star Wars have actually adequately analyzed just how messed up this situation is. In other words, I have personal power, I want political power. Therefore, I'm going to basically bully and kill my way into leadership. Now, it's funny because it's so obvious why it works. But at the same time, he is in such a hurry to do this, and he is thinking about it so little, he's putting so little thought into the actual strategy, that it's basically just, all right, I'm going to rob a bank, and then I'm going to go force a bunch of crooks to work for me, and then I'm going to go rob some more stuff, and then I'll just build my empire that way. It'll be great. But he's not using his brain, and this episode actually is smartly written enough to acknowledge how much that's biting him in the ass, because Obi-Wan and soon to die are both right on his heels because he's not being quiet or subtle about it. He's making noise. This is one of those interesting concepts. Anybody who's really studied comic books, I know this is weird, but hear me out. Anybody who's really studied comic books knows what I'm talking about. It's the idea of, well, I now have superpowers. Okay, what should I do with these? Well, if you're smart, you keep them quiet, especially if you're in a setting where superpowers are already common, like Marvel or DC, because you don't want the attention of the people who are stronger than you, more skilled than you, more invested than you, or all of the above. Maul does the exact opposite. Rah, give me stuff. Work for me. Oh crap, it's Kenobi. And Even's like, I'm not ready yet. My plan is not ready yet. No. Then he insists that he and Savage are not actually a partnership, but that he is the master and Savage is his apprentice. Can I just say really quick, I hate saying that word, Savage. It's savage. It's freaking savage. Anyways, and he really likes Slim Jims. I love the idea that Maul is so into the Sith mindset that despite everything that Palpatine did to him, he still believes and thinks and feels the way that the Sith would, especially the stupid Sith. So he insists on dominance. I am your master. And yet, it's funny to me because of how screwed Maul would have been, especially at the end of the episode, if not for Savage basically saving him. And remember, he would be screwed in general if not for Savage saving him. Both of these really help to demonstrate the general lack of leadership abilities that Maul has. This is also wonderfully contrasted in this very episode by Hondo. The fact that Hondo manages to... I've liked Hondo in general, but we see his leadership chops multiple times here. The fact that he's just willing to work in the right way, the fact that he's willing to defend in the right way, the fact that he's actually willing to outsmart and outmaneuver his opponents, especially with Obi-Wan's help, the fact that he takes this situation seriously, note that even though he rants at Obi-Wan, he immediately allies with him without hesitation, and the fact that he so effortlessly turns them back to his side and keeps them on his side. It's because all Maul said was, work for me or I'll kill you. What Hondo said was, all right. And I can't even summarize it for you because it's a more nuanced approach for it. A couple final notes before I chop this off. I noticed these are getting a little longer as I keep doing these. I love how many times they keep insisting they're not Jedi, they're Sith. We are not Jedi. We are lords. Crime lords. But, they constantly insist on that. I also find it funny that both Maul and Savage fall for the most basic of tactics over and over. They basically approach every situation as, we have greater strength than you, therefore we overwhelm you. And they lose constantly as a consequence of that, except against the most basic of enemies. I just find that amusing. Final note. What the hell's wrong with Yoda at the end? Like, Palpatine insisting that we need to just let all this go and be like, whatever. That makes sense. After all, not only does that make sense as the Chancellor of the Republic, at the upper... To put this simply, a crime lord who is a Sith is actually a serious issue, and one that would be under the purview of the Jedi, one that should be dealt with at a governmental level. But right now, there really are other slightly more important things to work on. So that's the kind of thing that should be relegated either to later or to someone of lesser importance to the actual war effort. So that makes a degree of sense. But I don't think that's actually what's going on here. I think that that's Palpatine, Emperor, Sith Lord, who is amused at Maul's return, is amused at the fact that Maul, who used to be the apprentice of, and this is a quote from a previous episode, the most powerful being in the galaxy, is now, and I forget how he says it, let him play with the rabble. Let him muck around with the filth. That is all he's worth, because he failed. Either way, enjoyable episode. I'll see you next time, guys.